Hello everyone, welcome back to Cars, Trucks, and Coffee. Today we're working on a 2006 Nissan Altima, the 2.5 liter, as you can see there. And what we're going to be doing today is changing the oil, and while we're changing the oil is changing the oil pan gasket. Now I say gasket because most cars have a gasket on the oil pan. However, this one has an RTV sealant that comes from the manufacturer, and when we get to that point I'll show you exactly what to do there. But for now, we're going to treat this as a regular oil change. We're going to start off by loosening the oil cap, and the purpose of this is to let air in so that it drains faster. And then we're going to go underneath and remove the drain plug, and I'll show you that now. So here we are underneath the car. What you're looking at here is the oil pan right at the back. That's what we're going to remove, is the oil drain plug. On this car it is I'm pretty sure it's a 14 millimeter. Yeah, it's a 14 millimeter. And these should be just tight enough that you should be able to get it off with a regular 3/8 inch ratchet. If you can't get it off, that means that it was impacted on or just overly tightened, and that's not definitely something you want done, because that could strip out the oil pan plug, and without even having a leak you would have to replace the entire pan because the plug goes into the pan. But as you can see back here, there are some leaking a little bit of oil. It's on my fingers. So I'm going to preemptively change the RTV sealant that's on this pan and keep it good to go for the time being. So to treat this like a normal oil change, you'll want to get your ratchet and a oil catch can, put it underneath. Let me get this light in a different spot here. There we go. And you will just want to loosen it. There you go. Now's the fun, messy part. This car hasn't been driving, so this isn't too hot, which is okay. Let me make sure this pan's in a good spot. Woo, there we go. Alright, now I'm going to let that drain out and get back to you. So now that the oil's drained, we need to take off the oil filter. Now every car, the location of the oil filter is different, but it's usually somewhere around the oil pan. It could be on the driver's side, it can be on the passenger side, it can be in the front. You can reach it from down under the hood. But in the case of this car, we're here under the passenger side driver tire, and right there in the middle of the screen you can see is the oil filter. Now this is a little bit messy too, so all you need to do, and this should only be on hand tight, it should not be on any tighter than that, but sometimes they are kind of slippery and oily. So let me come back with a rag and wipe it down, try and get off. So it appears whoever did this oil change before tighten the heck out of this oil filter, which it should not be. The gasket on the oil filter does its job. So what I have here are a pair of oil filter pliers, or whatever you want to call them. So I'm gonna put it around, because all you need is a little bit of leverage, and there you go. You can see it's moving a little bit. There we go. Alright, so it's loose now. Now all we need to do is just crack it loose. Wow. that is really on there. Okay. Okay, there we go. So the oil filters, some of them come in from the bottom. This one, as you can see, comes in on the side. So as you unscrew it, a little bit of oil is going to come out. So have your catch can underneath. Let it drain a little bit, and then you can take it the rest of the way off. As you can see, there's some oil coming out. So let it drain. As much as it can, and then pull the rest of the way off, otherwise you're going to have a big mess. Some of them are top down. I'm not sure why they're designed that way. Those are a big mess. And then the ones that come from the bottom up, those are usually a lot cleaner. They'll still drain a little bit, and then you can take them off. So we're going to let this drain, and then once that's done, we're going to get to taking off the oil pan. So here we are. Here's the oil pan that we're going to take off and replace the seal on. There's, I think it's 10, I counted 10 millimeters. Now, just a normal ratchet and 10 millimeter socket will work to remove this. A couple of these here, right underneath here, are underneath this frame rail, so obviously a ratchet and socket's not going to get there, so you're going to need a 10 millimeter wrench. But it's not too hard to get to. I have a couple of ratcheting wrenches, so it'll go a little faster. And then these here, I have an impact socket. If you have one of those, great. This job's going to go a lot faster for you. But let me knock out a couple of these just so y'all can see how easy they are. They don't take a lot of force. You can see there that came out pretty quick. Don't loosen them all the way and take them out, because there's still going to be a little bit of oil left in the pan. So go around, loosen them, and then slowly this side, on the side that the drain plug's on, loosen them out, and it's going to drop, and then the rest of the oil can come out. And then once that's done, then you can take off the rest of the fasteners. So here we are, all but 2 of the bolts out. Now, because this is an RTV sealant, it will not just drop off easily as if it were a gasket. With the gasket, you might have to, knock the pan around and it'll drop loose. But with RTV, it's pretty much still just glued on. So what you need to do is there's a tab here and a tab here on the pan. You're going to get a pry bar or a long screwdriver or something and slowly just work your way, and try not to gouge the metal on the case, so otherwise you're going to have a bad day. All this work's going to be for nothing. You're still going to have leaks. So that's what we're going to do. I'm changing this pan just out of preventative maintenance, in case anything's wrong with it. But if you feel like your pan's still good, you can just reuse it. When you take it off, clean it up and everything. But I'm going to reuse it, or put a new one on. So all I need to do is just make sure I don't gouge out the case. Okay, we got the oil pan off. Now you can see the inside of the bottom of the crankcase. Here we have the oil filter. If you feel like you need to change that, now would be the good time. You can see on the mating surface there's a bunch of gasket left, so take a scraper of some sort, whether it be a razor blade or a plastic scraper, and try and get rid of that. Otherwise you're not going to have a good seal. And then it's a good thing I was replacing my oil pan anyway. Try and get it off. It was super stuck on this side, and it bent a little bit, and that may happen in your case, and if it does, you're gonna have to replace it. And the oil pans aren't too expensive anyways, $25 online if you can find one. So yeah, that's what I recommend. I'm gonna get this cleaned up, show you the final result, and then I'll show you all the process for the RTV and get it back on. So here we are, ready to put the new oil pan back in. And you always want to compare your parts. Obviously it's a little difficult if it's in the car, but here it is. We have it out, at least before we try putting it back in. You can see all the bolt holes match up to the old one, and you can see while we're replacing it. I had a feeling this might happen because that RTV holds it on so tight. You're more than likely gonna damage the pan getting it out to fix the gasket. This gasket was pretty thick, but the area where it seemed to have been leaking from, it was a little thin right here compared to the rest of the gasket, and that appears to where it was leaking from. It'll be easier to show y'all the bolt order sequence out here than under the car, so I'm going to flip this over, how it's going to be facing you when you have it up in the car, and the bolt order is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 10. To get this in, I'm going to show you all the bead of silicone, get it up in there, and loosely tighten it, and then we'll go from there. So here's the silicone we have. It is a Optimum Black High Flex gasket maker, and you want to make sure it's rated for oil pans to come in contact with oil. Some RTVs are not meant for that and will degrade, so you want to make sure that the gasket maker you get is rated for that. So what we're going to do is we're going to apply a decent sized bead around here and on the inside of the bolt holes here, and go around and try and make it continuous. And we'll go all the way around till we get back to where we started, and then we'll go apply it in the car. And with this one we have about 30 to 45 minutes working time, which is more than enough time. And then from there, what you want to do is hand tighten it up in the car, let it stiffen up a little bit, and then you'll torque down the bolts. And granted, these are 10 millimeters, so they're just going to be hand tight. You don't want to crank down on them, but we'll get to that when we get there. So here we are with the RTV on. You can see it's a decent sized bead going around and inside the bolt holes. Not the prettiest, but hey, it'll get it done. Now let's get underneath and I'll show you how to reinstall it. So first you want to give the seal one more wipe down. There's some there's still oil coming down slowly, so make sure you get that out of the way. Also earlier I want to clarify, I think I might have said this is an oil filter. It is not. It's an oil pickup, but it has a filter, so that's just where I said that. But this is your oil pickup that sends it to the top of the engine. Okay, now we'll pick it up and get it in place. Okay, there it is in place. All I did was just lift it up and set it there gently. The RTV is pretty tacky, so it holds it well. Now we're just going to go around with our little 10 millimeter fasteners here and just hand tighten them down. Let the RTV set for a little bit, and then we'll come back and torque them up. Just like that. Alright, as you can see, we got all the bolts in. They're hand tightened, and according to the directions on the silicone, it says wait for an hour before tightening to torque specifications, and then allow 24 hours to dry before filling with fluid. So if you need your vehicle in a certain amount of time before that, use a different RTV or plan for a different vehicle use. But with the instructions with this RTV, say to allow 24 hours dry, which I will do. So I'll come back out in an hour and tighten these down. It's only like 15 foot-pounds for these, so basically just tighten snugly with a 3/8 inch ratchet, maybe even a 1/4 inch, so you don't overdo it. It's not tight. The silicone's gonna do the work, so it doesn't need to be too tight. And as you saw, the bolts they're just holding it up for double protection, because that silicone, once it dries, that pan's pretty much not coming off without some force. So once that's done, I'll show you how to top it off, get the oil filter in place, and we'll be good to go. So here we are, ready to install the oil filter. This is what it looks like new. It's nice and empty, and the O-ring sealant is on there. For installing this one, you need to make sure the other O-ring came off with the old oil filter. Otherwise, you're gonna have a major oil leak and have a bad time. When installing a oil filter, it's best to fill it up. That way, the engine doesn't run dry for the few seconds it takes to fill this up. However, this oil filter goes in sideways. Some of them go up or at an angle, and some of them, like I said, even go down, so you can't even fill those up. This one, because it's sideways, I'm only going to fill about a third full of oil, and then once that's done, just so it lubricates this O-ring, I'm going to take a little bit of the new oil and just run my finger around the seal here to lubricate it, and then it's just as easy as taking it off, putting it back on. Just screw it on, hand tight. No need to use any tools or anything, just hand tight, and that will get it on for you. Okay, I got the new oil filter installed. As you can see, this is the old one, and that seal is right there. Like I said, you want to make sure that comes off, otherwise double gasketing, double sealing like that is very bad. Next is to pour the oil into the fill cap. However, we're waiting for the RTV to set its appropriate amount of time. So in 24 hours, just gonna top it off with the recommended oil amount. In this car, it's 4.5 quarts, and on the side of these 5 quarts, you can see there's tick marks. Just fill according to that, and you should be good. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the next video. If you found this helpful, please give this a like, comment any tips, and subscribe for future videos for how to take care of your cars. See you next time.